All right. So a few weekends ago, I taught this workshop at the Kelly Fitzgerald Museum of Art and such. I forget the exact name in Wetumpka. I had a good time, and as usual, whenever I get paid to teach a workshop, I like to turn it into a video for folks who weren't able to be there or who could not afford to pay the fee. So here we go. This is a two-part workshop. The first part was so you want to write a book. The second one is I've written a book, now what? I'll be recording that next. So consider these a two-part, if you want. Uh, so let's dive in. Uh, yeah, this is the exact presentation I gave. So this was in person. So if this seems geared to in person, it's because it was geared towards in person. So yeah, I told them you can interrupt me and ask questions. I look scary, but I'm not, because I do look scary, but I'm not. Who am I? I'm best known as the author of the Jubal County Saga, which is about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction. I started writing in 2012, started taking it seriously, got the mentoring from a man named John Hartness. In 2021, COVID hit. I started self-publishing seriously. I'm an author, podcaster, and a game designer, done freelance writing. I have 2 useless degrees. I'm an Eagle Scout and I love puns. Boom. Why should you listen to me? I have completed 12 novels. 7 have been self-published to moderate success. I have one coming out June-ish, 2020. That says 2024, but it's supposed to be 2025. So maybe you don't listen to me because I don't even know what year my book comes out. Will be coming out next year through Falstaff Dread, which is an imprint of Falstaff Books. There is a picture of me at DragonCon sitting beside Sherilyn Kenyon. She sold like 70 million copies. And the other side of me is John Hartness, my mentor. So someone at some point was foolish enough to think I'm qualified to speak on a panel alongside Sherilyn Kenyon, Steve Saffel, and John Hartness. So there we go. There's my qualifications. All right. In here, take every suggestion and rule I'm going to say with large grain of salt. What works for most people might not work for you. And if you're a good enough writer, you can break all the rules. Easy peasy. That said, if you are the most amazing writer ever and you break all the rules, understand that if you're not well known, it may still not be the best move for you because it may come across as weird to people and they won't give you the grace that they would give you if you were Stephen King or N.K. Jemisin, who wrote part of her book in second person, which I would absolutely recommend no one do, but she did it and she pulled it off and she won a Hugo for it. So, boom. But that also wasn't her first book. So, there you go. Step 1, write the damn book. Why are you watching this video? You should be writing the book. Done. Let's talk more action. If this is actually important to you, you will make the time, not excuses. The problem I see so many authors make is they spend all their time researching how to write a book and not actually writing the book, or they spend all their time researching for the book and not actually writing the book. You have to write the book. Just finish it. It can be shit. It will probably be shit. Just finish it. Write the damn book. Write the damn book. Set small goals to give yourself a win. Are you struggling to finish an entire novel? Set smaller goals. Maybe you start out by writing a short story and you finish it. You edit it and you celebrate it. Okay? Because you have completed a thing. Celebrate it. That was a great thing. You know how many people out there have never finished writing a short story? A lot more than have. So this is me giving you permission to celebrate these successes. Set goals. Define success for yourself. Set these goals. Celebrate them. You've done that. Set a goal of writing 1 chapter. Finish it. Celebrate it. Then you set a goal of writing 2 chapters. Finish them. Celebrate it. Again, celebrate it. No one is going to celebrate your victories. So make sure that you do, okay? Because no one else is going to. So again, set small goals. How do you eat an elephant 1 bite at a time? Okay? It's like that. Writing a novel is a hard thing. Writing a chapter, not nearly as hard. Once you've completed one chapter, you know I can complete a chapter. If I've completed one chapter, I can complete more chapters. And then enough chapters, and you have a book. Amazing. Witchcraft. Um, train your brain. Can I move this? No, no, no. Am I? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Hopefully that worked. Okay. Train your brain. Um, we're really not that much smarter than dogs, and we train dogs all the time. So what I would say is, if you are struggling to write, the words are just not flowing, train your brain. Um, sit down at the same place. Maybe it's a desk like this. You sit down at this desk every day at around the same time. You light a candle of a certain scent. You calm down, Noodle. Calm down. You light a candle of a certain scent. You play the same music every time. Um, and you just sit there, and the words won't flow that first time, or the second time, or the third time, maybe. But you do this enough, you will train your brain. Okay, I'm in this place. I smell this scent. I hear the sound. It's time to be creative. And the words, I promise you, the words will flow more easily. I have trained my brain that when it hears the album Sunset Mission by Borgen and der Klubbergor, which is this German doom jazz band, which I love. There's no words. It's just sound. Then it's time to be creative. And I've trained my brain. My words do flow easier when I'm listening to that, or Saudade by the album Saudade by Thievery Corporation. Both those albums, I've trained my brain. Boom. That one's in mostly in French, so I don't get distracted by the lyrics. So yeah, do that. You can train your brain to be creative. Experiment with the time and place. Are you struggling to establish a writing rhythm, consistency? Try writing at a desk. Try writing on the couch. Try writing in bed, at a coffee shop, in the tub, like this guy. This guy's name is Dalton Trumbo. And yeah, I was like, okay, Dalton, I see you. Get famous for writing in a tub. I love it. Um, and so, yeah, experiment with the time. Right before lunch, right during your lunch, right after the kids are put to bed, right before you go into work. Experiment. You may find that, okay, I write best when I've had time to unwind from the day, or I write best um, before I start. Like, I write best in the morning. Experiment. If words aren't flowing, move stuff around. Give it a go. Also experiment. Pantser versus plotter. If you don't know what that means, essentially, um, broadly speaking, there are two schools of how you write a book. A pantser just kind of just writes what comes to mind. There's no real structure thought out. They just start writing. They just start putting words on the page and see where it goes. A plotter is someone who plots out, okay, this chapter, this is going to happen. Next chapter, this will happen. This will happen. This will happen. This will happen. End of the book. Virtually no one is 100% one or the other. Okay. So experiment with that. I will say the first book I ever tried to write, I 100% pantsed it. And I got about 3 chapters in and stalled out. And thank God, because it was basically Warhammer Fantasy Dwarven fan fiction. Wish fulfillment fan fiction at that. Oh God, it was so terrible. High school book. Um, not long after college, I tried to write another book based on a D&D world that I had done, and I spent all my time plotting and world building and whatnot, and everything was so laid out. And I got about 3 chapters in and realized this is not working, and never picked it up again. So what I've learned about me is I am 90% pantser, 10% plotter. For a novel length work, I'll typically get an Excel spreadsheet. Each row is 1 chapter. I will say this is chapter 1 with like a 1-sentence summary of kind of what I want to go on there. And I'll do about 20 chapters. And what happens is that gives me freedom to fill in chapters in between. Like if I do 20 chapters, I'll probably end up with about 35 chapters because I explore and find things. And what actually goes on in that chapter will not be the only thing that occurs in that chapter. It's just something I know I need to hit. and then I will discover many other things along the way. So experiment with that. If you're not finishing a book, you're getting a few chapters in, you're stalling out, try doing more plotting, try doing less plotting, um, and just experiment with it. See what works for you. Develop a rhythm. If you write once in a blue moon, every time you try to write, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Um, so if you're like, okay, I write once a month, and then you're like, oh my god, but the word, it's just it's such a struggle to write. Every time that once a month I sit down to write, I just, I barely get 200 words in. Okay, because you haven't established a rhythm. Um, Writing routinely, ideally consecutive days, makes it so much easier. Um, when I am able to do this, uh, for me, it's not more words per day. It's I finish my words per day quicker. So my goal is I typically try to write 1,000 words a day every day during the week. Um, and so whereas on Monday it takes me an hour, by Friday it takes me 40 minutes. I'm starting to get back in that rhythm. Um, and if I do this week on week on week, it just goes so much better. Um, if I take a month off because of surgeries and life is busy and whatnot, when it's time to get back to writing, yeah, it takes me longer to write 1,000 words. And then as I reestablish my rhythm, it gets better. So yeah, if you can, and I get it, look, life's hard and only gets harder every day, it seems like. So if you can't do that, don't beat yourself up about it. Do what you can. I'm just saying, if you are able to establish a rhythm, things will go better for you. Don't edit as you go. Sweet, gentle baby Jesus. Um, I didn't edit this presentation, and it probably shows because of, oh, God, a lot of typos and whatnot. There we go. If I could, you know, I got paid to give this presentation, and I didn't bother to edit it. If I can do that, then you can wait on editing that fucking chapter. I swear to God. Here's the thing: you write a chapter, and then you spend 3 hours editing it, and then you write the next chapter. You spend 3 hours editing that one. You get to the end of the book, and then you realize, oh shit, chapter 4, I don't even need. I need to cut that completely. Well, you wasted 3 hours editing a chapter that's not even there anymore, or a scene that's not there anymore. Do not edit as you go. Um, Caveat: if you have written 3 or 4 or 5 books and this is your method, cool. This is really geared towards people who have not finished a book. Once you finish a book, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay, I'm trying to get you to a point where you have finished writing your first novel. And if you're spending time editing, you are fucking up, bud. Okay. Um, Here's what is okay. You've been writing this chapter. You wrote 300 words on it yesterday, and you're sitting back down today. If you want to, go to the top of the page and start reading to get back in that mindset and fix a couple little things as you go to help you get back in the mindset, that's fine. Okay. But if it's a big change, no, stop. We're talking about like you use the word there twice in a row. Like, I saw a dog over there. Cool, cut that there out. Or you realize you misspelled your protagonist's name. Done that so many times. Cool, fix that. But if it's like, you know what, I really need to add in um, a whole lot of backstory about this side character here. Um, I need to work it in organically throughout the chapter leading up to this. Don't do that. Fucking stop. Leave yourself a note. What I do is at the end of my document, I have a chapter called notes, and anything like that, I will put there. It's like, hey, in chapter 23, add in such and such person's backstory. Boom. Okay? Keep making forward progress. You can always fix it later as long as there's something to fix. Okay? Write the damn book. Do not edit as you go. Writing groups. Friends and family are great. They are the absolute worst at giving advice, however. Okay? They're too close to you. It's either going to be they're too supportive and too nice, or you have a terrible family and they're going to tear you down. It could go either way. Or they're just going to be wildly indifferent, which is okay. Writing is a lonely task. So you need to find people who are less invested in protecting your feelings to review your work. Writing groups are great for this. Where do I join a writing group? Libraries frequently have them. Um, I ran a writing group for I guess like 3.5 years. We started out of the NaNoWriMo forums. NaNoWriMo 1 year as it was wrapping up. I was like, hey guys, I've enjoyed this community. Um, Next Wednesday, I'm going to be at I think it was at Books a Million or something like that. Like, hey, come out if you want to come out. I write genre fiction. We can critique each other's stuff. And we had a consistent group that met for like 3.5 years. So you can absolutely start your own. There are Facebook groups. There are Discord channels. There are all sorts of places where there are writing groups. Um, if you can't find one, start your own. I promise there are other authors out there that will join. Um, how you structure that group, every writing group is its own thing. Um, my general advice would be try to find a writing group that the people participating write in similar genres. If you write horror and the only writing group you can find is 6 romance authors, that's probably going to be a poor fit. Unless they are 6 romance authors that uh, also have a Stephen King book club, you know? Um, so, obviously there are exceptions, but find people who are writing similar stuff to you because they will understand the genre, they will understand the tropes. A romance author may not know that what you've written in this horror series is super tropey, because they don't read that, they don't know. So, yeah, writing groups, they're great. Um, Ideas don't matter, execution does. Seriously, ideas do not matter. The number of authors uh, that I have that are just so concerned about their idea or their world building or whatnot doesn't fucking matter. Execution is what matters. Finishing the book is what matters. My go-to story about this is Kevin J. Anderson. I took a workshop with him many years ago, and he told, and I don't remember the specific example, but what he said was he went down to the bookstore, he picked up, he submitted a story to a online fantasy magazine. I don't know. We'll just say it was Apex, or Clark's World or something. He submitted a story to Clark's World, let's just say, and he about a time traveling cat, and he picked up that month's issue, and inside was a story about a time traveling cat. He's like, well, shit, I just wasted my time because no one is going to publish 2 stories about time traveling cats. Except they did. His story did get accepted and it did get published because while they had the same idea, they were executed differently. Okay? Ideas don't matter, execution matters. Do not worry about whether you're writing the most original, mind blowing thing ever. Doesn't matter if you don't finish it. Finish the book. Okay. Find your voice. Write a lot of words. The go-to thing is, you got to write 1 million words before you learn your craft, is what they say. Well, I've written like 1.3 million, 4 million words at this point, and have I found my craft? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But the point of this is, if you want to get better, you have to write more and more and more. You take in tips and tricks. You learn things like show versus tell, and you write more. What I have found in my writing is I write for a while. I kind of get to a plateau, and my writing does not improve, and it frustrates me. And then I learn something. For me, the first big plateau breaker was learning show don't tell. Um, and so once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, so my craft got better again, and I started to plateau. And there are things like that you'll always be learning. You'll be taking in tips and tricks, but you have to write a lot. Do not expect to write 5,000 words and be really, really good. Um, and just because you've written 1 million words doesn't mean you're good. It If you along the way have not been trying to improve, if you've taken in nothing and not tried to learn anything, maybe your last 100,000 words are going to be just as good or bad as your first 100,000 words. But if along the way you are taking advice, listening to tips and tricks, things like that, your writing will get better. You just have to implement them. All right. Dialogue tips. Look, I'm not really the guy to talk craft with as much. I'm not. There are better people to talk craft. I will talk quickly about a couple craft things that I can say that will kind of get you on the road to improvement. But again, there are better people to talk craft than me. I'm more process and more business oriented. So, but dialogue tips. Um, Listen to people talking on the phone where you can only hear one side, and write the half you can't hear is practice. Kind of a neat trick that I heard some people works really well for a lot of folks. Two, read it out loud and ask yourself, does it actually sound like something a real life person would say? Um, no, really. People speak in contractions all the time. Um, I can't count the number of times that I go to read something. I cannot do the thing that we all want to do, or it just feels so stilted because I was like, say that to me like you would really say it. And when the author says it, they use contractions. Like, okay, so you just use contractions. Why are you not using contractions here in dialogue? And it's because um, here in the U.S., a lot of teachers, English teachers, try to beat into your head that contractions are bad, and fuck them. I take that back. I love English teachers. They're amazing, but that is that is not the rule. Okay, contract. There's nothing wrong with contractions, especially in dialogue. Okay, there's a time and place for everything. Um, so yeah, people speak in contractions. Use contractions. That's the number one. There's your number one hack. If your dialogue doesn't seem genuine, you're probably not using contractions. Show don't tell, but all things in moderation. Let me move my little thingy again. Boop 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 boop. Okay, so this was something that took me a long time to, and I didn't get it. People said all the time, "Oh, showing you're telling, not showing." It didn't make any sense to me because no one ever like spelled it out. So these are terrible examples, but because I literally just made them up when I got to the slide and put no thought into them beyond that, because that's how I roll. Um, but okay, so telling would be saying something like, Jim liked the cake. Showing is Jim sighed happily after swallowing the first bite of the red velvet cake. Um, you have definitely imparted the fact that Jim liked the cake, but you painted a picture with it. Okay, it's red velvet cake. Oh, he's sighing happily. Oh, yes. Okay, as opposed to Jim liked the cake. Do you see the difference? Okay, here's another one. Jim was angry at Ellen, as opposed to Jim slammed his hands on the desk, his reddening face snarling in the frightened woman's directions. Okay, we're painting a picture. Jim is real mad. His face is getting red. He's physical. He's Arr! Ellen is frightened by this. Like we are painting a picture. Jim was angry at Ellen, and what I said, say the same thing, but one of them is telepathy. You're painting an image in someone's mind, and the other is just, oh hey, this here is a fact versus here is a image. Now that said, all things in moderation. Okay, you can just say that something happened. You do not always have to. Jim slammed his hands on the desk. All things in moderation. If you go too far, they call it purple prose. It's not great. Okay. All things in moderation. Stop worrying about what happens when the book is done. Gotta move my thing so you can see my pun. If you don't know, this is a rapper named Future. Okay. Stop worrying about what happens once the book is done. Don't worry about your marketing plan. Don't worry about ARC readers. Finish the book. Once you've finished a book, if you're on like book 3 and you want to start worrying about your marketing plan and your ARC readers as part of the process, that's fine. But if you've never finished a book, don't worry about a marketing plan. There's nothing to market. You don't have a book. You don't have a product. You have part of a book that could one day maybe become a book, but it's not a book. Okay? Do not worry about what happens after. Finish the fucking book. Done. That's the only thing you're worrying about right now. Finishing the book. Because here's the thing. This is a marathon, not a sprint. If you finish that book and you're like, well, God, I haven't even started on my marketing plan. Cool. You got all the time in the world now. Your book is done. You have something to market. You know that it's finished. Now start that process. But Jesus Christ, the number of folks that, well, gosh, I'm worried about trying to build up this and build up that and like da da. You don't have a book. Focus on the book. If you have the bandwidth and the spoons that you can, grow a newsletter list and things like that, perfect. That's great. You should be doing that if you can, but never, ever, 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 not ever at the expense of writing the book. The book is number one. Again, once you've finished one book and you know you can do it, then if you want to start worrying about stuff, cool. But in the short term, finish one book. Here are a couple of books I recommend. I'm loath to recommend most books because they're boring. Most craft books are just mind-numbingly boring. I do like Stephen King on writing because while, yes, he does talk a little bit of craft, it's very autobiographical, and it keeps it interesting. And if you're not interested, you're not going to finish it. It's better to have one book that's not super heavy on craft that you finished and learned about the process than buying 87 books on the craft that you read the opening chapter, got bored, never finished. Two, The Emotional Thesaurus. There's a bunch of these. There's a whole series. I have a couple of them. Early on, these were really, really great. And it'll be stuff like, hey, you're trying to impart, this is really for helping you with showing versus telling. If you're trying to impart that someone is angry, here's a list of adjectives or descriptors that impart anger. So those are cool. Something you might want to look into. If you take no other advice from this presentation, just ask, okay? Seriously, this is the number one piece of advice I give everyone about virtually everything. Just ask. Just ask. You can ask me. I have a contact form on my website. If you need help, just ask. You need to join a writers group, go to your library and just ask. Go to your local Facebook groups, your City Watch Uncut Facebook group, and ask, hey, anyone know where there's a writers group? You want to start a writers group, go to your library and be like, hey, I'd like to start a writers group here. Would y'all be open to helping me do this? Just ask. No one's going to be mean. And if they are, fuck them. You're amazing. Fuck those people. But really and truly, like, seriously, the number of times I've had anyone make me feel less than for asking, compared to all the hundreds of times I've asked and gotten amazing help, it's an easy ratio to make out. Just ask. Seriously, just ask. Ask for help. Ask for tips. Ask for tricks. I promise you, it'll be okay. Thank you. And then here's where it's like, oh, copy of this presentation can be found on my website. You can go right now, and a PDF of this PowerPoint is on there. You can use the contact form on there to ask me any questions about like anything. Oh, okay. Now you're waking up now. Okay. No. Okay. And we're back. TalesbyBob.com. I have a bunch of education resources on there. They're all free. Past workshops I've taught with accompanying YouTube videos. You can download the PowerPoints, PDFs of them. Like, seriously, go nuts. Anything on there that you see that you would like help with, just ask. Yeah. So, all right. I believe that's the end of my slideshow. And it is. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. If you have any tips or tricks that you'd like to leave folks, leave them in the comments wherever you find this video. And like I said, you can ask me any follow-up questions through the contact form on my website, TalesbyBob.com. All right. Cheers, y'all.